Welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of If you follow me and you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm all about autism awareness versus health and awareness with your personal health and your general health in general. I am also bringing about some fun and games along the way, so if you're into any of these kind of videos and all that I'm hoping to bring up to date with you all, please feel free to subscribe and be part of my family, as well as along the way there, turn on the notification bell and journey with me. So I stand to my suggestions to see that this autism end is a real broad spectrum of topics which I'm hoping to quickly get more out of the way, especially with this autism end as mentioned, so that I can get into some of the mental health parts that I'm going to share with you all, as well as some of things this close to my heart, and hopefully let you in on my little update of my book journey yet again once it comes to life again. So, if on further respect now guys, this one's all about autism, transitions and change, of the resistance and change. Hopefully you're liking these videos. Smash the like button or even comment below for just a hello Aspie, yes I am, or something, just to give me the notification that you are, watching these and what have you, because this is much appreciated. So, let's begin this with this autism and change, resistance to change. As we know, basically, very most common problem for people or young people, shall we say in general, especially in high-functioning autism. But before you get at me guys, I'm sorry, some of this will be based on research that I've found through some other sites that aren't New Zealand based, so some of it may not, sound accurate, which for us in New Zealand, because there's a certain lack of information there, so therefore we need to hopefully in New Zealand be able to research a bit more. So if it needs for many others, raving scientists / experimenters or whoever we may be able to find the answers, hopefully we can. So without further ado, also as a disclaimer before I continue on, I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal Joe blog, so if you see anything out of the ordinary of any of the warning signs or symptoms and representation of what I've shared in the past few videos, do seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or seek professional advice for yourself or your loved one, because I don't for everyone knows that front. So what I'm trying to say here is people that has Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism, or even just any child for that matter, when they're young and stuff, obviously they do have difficulty adjusting to new situations and new everyday changes that goes on around them, regardless what it is. Well, all of these children will love new material things such as the toys, games, digital devices, etc. Most of them may have difficulty adjusting to the new environment that they're in, the new homes, different teachers and schools, and any other major changes to their daily routines. As I said before many times, that some of us autistics do like to be in a structure or routine so that we feel that we're in control, sort of thing. Without that control and safety and familiarity of certain things that we do in our everyday life, then it just feels like the world wreaks havoc. Even to this time, new clothes or changes in your favourite food or drink can cause certain frustration and emotional outbursts. Children on the autism spectrum need a steady routine and a familiar, consistent environment, because it helps them to stay organised and know what to expect or how to act towards it if there was a slight subtle change. But they regularly stick to the old habits, and the rigidity often results in obsessive and or compulsive thoughts and behaviours. Not always, but sometimes. While there are many reasons with people with Asperger syndrome and high-functioning autism, children when they're at a young age do resist change. Most of these reasons have a common source: fear. These fears are often related to loss associated with the change. All change involves loss at some level or point at this stage in life regardless. This can be difficult to contemplate and understand. But some of the typical reasons people may have found due to the change or the resistance of this change may include the following. 1. Resistance can stem from perceptions of the change that Asperger syndrome and high-functioning autism children hold. For example, kids who feel they will be worse off at the end of the change are unlikely to cooperate. 2. Change gets their special needs children out of their comfort zone. When we talk about a comfort zone, we are really referring to the routine here, just to be in mind as I shared just now. Kids on the autism spectrum love routine because it helps them feel safe and secure. There's bound to be resistance whenever change requires them to do so, or to do things differently. Whether it's a new set of rules, new seating arrangement in the classroom, or even in the dining room table, new cabinets, subject matter, new seating arrangements in school, moving from addition to multiplication with class, or just even a new baby in the home, or whatever it may be. Certain changes of the routine, as again I said, will make them feel very uncomfortable. 4. Don't mistake compliance for acceptance. Children who are overwhelmed by continuous change may resign themselves to it and go along with the flow. You may have them in body, but you do not have their hearts. This motivation to cooperate is low. When these children do not trust in the ability to cope with change, resistance of them does result. This may be related to the experience of change in the past, however. They had to make a change back in the day that was very distressing, so today they view all change as distressing. 5. Misunderstanding about the need for change will result in resistance. If the child doesn't understand the reasons or why things need to be done differently, you can expect the resistance, especially if they strongly believe the current way of doing things works just fine. 6 or 7 is not being consulted often results in resistance. If these children are allowed to be part of the change process, there is less resistance, so therefore get them involved into that change. Be it classic example, as I said, moving of a house. They will then get the sense that they are being heard and that their feelings are being counted and understood by their feelings. Some examples of uncomfortable change kids may face include the following: free moving away, a new baby in the family, changing in the environment of maybe moving from one house to another, parent taking a new job or losing their job, abandoning bad habits and picking up the good habits, adopting a different routine or school, attending a new school, different financial circumstances, hospital stays, illnesses, moving to a new house, as I said, meeting new people, new teachers or new friends, parent making new childcare arrangements, recent death in the family or recent death of a friend, separation of the physical parents, and the list goes on. There are a number of symptoms that Asperger's syndrome and high-functioning autistic children will exhibit of these signs of an adverse reaction to change. This may include the following: active attempts to disrupt or undermine the change process, aggression, anger, become withdrawn, complaints of headaches, stomach pains, or oversensitive to minor scrapes, have a tough time concentrating in school, insensitive or disagreeable behaviours, loss of interest in things that earlier interested them, with the loss of appetite, they're not responding to you, portraying themselves as innocent victims of unreasonable expectations, seems disinterested, school refusal, sleep problems, tantrums, unusual flare-ups of emotions. Of course, each of these doesn't necessarily mean that these children are opposing change, however. They might be indicators, but could just easily be indicators of other issues in their life. Real resistance usually occurs after their uncertainties and questions regarding to change have not been put adequately answered to them. Kids with AS and HFA often develop rigid thinking. They want a particular thing done at a particular time, order, in a particular way. This is because they often feel a loss of control over important aspects of their lives. What's normal and routine for typical children can be different and frustrating for the ones with Asperger's syndrome and high-functioning autism. Imagine having your body respond clumsily when you're trying to play or being dragged from place to place by your mother or father, and not having the cognitive ability to understand why. By holding this tightly to what they can predict, these kids find a little bit of comfort in their otherwise chaotic world. A youngster who is totally inflexible to change is going to have a lot of difficulty coping with the reality in life of what's to come. Life is random, full of last minute mishaps, misunderstandings, schedule changes, etc., etc. The sooner you can acclimate your AS or HFA child's change, the better. The world can seem a very unpredictable and confusing place for autistic people, who often prefer to have a daily routine, so that they know what is going on or what is about to happen every day. They may want to always travel the same way to and from school or work, or exactly eat the same food for breakfast. The use of rules can also be important. It may be difficult for an autistic person to take a different approach to something once they've been taught the right way to do it. Sometimes minor changes such as moving between two activities can also be distressing. For others, big events like holidays, starting new schools, or changing schools, moving house, or Christmas may create change and upheaval that will then lead to anxiety and all the other mixed emotions listed. Some autistic people have daily timetable so that they know what is going on. However, the need for routine and sameness can be extended beyond this. You might see changes to the physical environment, such as the layout of the room or furniture, or the presence of new people like of familiar ones being difficult to manage. Regular preferences about things like food, only eating food of a certain colour, clothing, only wearing clothes made from specific fabrics, or everyday objects, only using particular types of soap or brands of toilet paper. A need for routine around daily activities such as meals or bedtime. Routines can become almost ritualistic in nature, having to be followed precisely with attention paid to the tiniest of details. Verbal rituals with a person repeatedly asking the same questions and needing a specific answer. Compulsive behaviour, for example, a person might be constantly washing their hands or checking locks. This doesn't, however, necessarily mean that they have obsessive compulsive disorder (OCD), but if you are forever concerned about this, speak to your GP in the first instance if you're needing the answers. People's dependence on routines can increase during times of change, stress, or illness. It may even become more dominant or elaborate at these times. Colin Atwood, 1998, stated this: unexpected changes are often the most difficult to deal with. People on the autism spectrum may not be comfortable with the idea of change, but may be able to cope better if they can prepare for changes in advance. So how can you help this child? The question I want to ask you, does the obsession, routine, or group behaviour restricts the person's opportunities, causes distress or discomfort, or impact on their learning? If not, then it may not be necessary to intervene. If it's causing difficulties or is somewhat unsafe, they may need support to stop or modify these behaviours or adjust their reliance. Understand the function of the behaviour. Think about the function of the repeated behaviour, routine, or obsession. What does the person get out of it? Does it reduce the anxiety or block out the noise? Modifying the environment. Does the person always seem to find a particular place, like a classroom, hard to cope with? Is it too bright? Too noisy? You might find that modifying the environment, e.g. turning off the strip lighting, can reduce sensory discomfort. If the behaviour is getting a way of getting sensory input, look for alternative ways of achieving the same sensation. Increase structure. Make the world a more structured and predictable place. A more structured environment could reduce boredom, which is sometimes a reason for this repetitive behaviour. You might prepare a range of enjoyable or calming activities to redirect the person to if they seem bored or distressed. Try using visual supports such as daily timetables, social stories, or pre-planning strategies to prepare for change or events that might be stressful. Or daily transition times. Each timers or timers can help someone to understand abstract concepts like time, plan what they need to do, in what order, and understand the concept of waiting. Managing anxiety. Develop strategies to manage anxiety, such as introducing the brain and hand app, consider contacting an autism experience counsellor. Intervene early. Repetitive behaviours, obsessions, and routines are generally harder to change the longer they continue. A behaviour that's acceptable in a young child may not be appropriate as they get older. Example-wise, obsession with stroking with other people's hair, with copying people's accents, or with shiny things, meaning they collect change that people leave around or behind. It will help if you can set the limits around repetitive behaviours from an early age and look out for any new behaviour that emerges from this. Set boundaries. If you need to set clear, consistent limits, for example, duration on an object, the time a person should spend talking about a subject, or the places where they can carry out a particular behaviour. Behavioural change is most likely to be successful, and the person is likely to be distressed if you start small and go wherever slowly. Increase the time restrictions and introduce other limits gradually. Decide together as a team a realistic target and put together a plan to reach that target over a period of time. It's important to set small realistic goals to help build on their success and increase confidence. Think about what the person would find it easier to engage in the interest for shorter periods throughout the day or for longer periods, but less often. Consider what needs to be changed. Are they unable to stop engaging in the activity? Work on lessening the duration. Is the issue that they are constantly starting the activity throughout the day, even when they are trying to focus on other things? Work on lessening the frequency. If it's a mixture of both, focus on the aspect to change at first to increase the chance of success in reducing anxiety. A clear example here is week 1. Decide on the plan and target. Create a visual support explaining these changes. Week 2. Joan is allowed to talk about train injuries for 15 minutes to every hour. Week 3, Joan is allowed to talk about train injuries for 10 minutes of every hour. Week 4, Joan is allowed to talk about train injuries for 10 minutes every 2 hours. Continue in this manner until you meet the goal, which is to find balance between engaging with the interest enjoyably and engaging with other activities involved. If you place limits around obsessions or repetitive behaviours, you might need to think about the things the person can do instead. Providing alternatives. Think of any alternative activities to direct the person to when they have met their quota of the activity you are working on. For example, if they've spoken to a family about their interest for the set amount of time that day, consider directing them to record their thoughts on their phone or write them down in an interest book. Whilst the family are no longer engaging in the activity, the thought is still expressed, hopefully meeting the person's need and therefore will lower their anxiety. You could also ensure that they wanted to express their thoughts about their interest again before their next allotted time, that they could write things down and you will talk about them later of their thought book. You could use visual supports to explain these additional activities. It might be possible for the person to engage in their interests in new ways, perhaps joining a club or a group, or studying or working in a related area. Where that activity relates to sensory needs, provide an alternative activity that has the same function. Example, someone who rocks back and forth to get sensory input could use a swing. Someone who flicks their fingers for visual stimulation could use a kaleidoscope of gum. Someone who puts inedible objects in their mouths could have a bag with edible alternatives that provides similar sensory experience, such as raw pasta, spaghetti, or even seeds or nuts. A person who sneezes a poo could have a bag with Play-Doh in it to use it instead. Skill development. The following skills can help with managing stress or syndrome, which may lead to repetitive behaviour. Social skills. Developing social skills such as how to start a conversation, appropriate things to talk about, and how to read other people's cues and body language. For example, we sometimes raise our eyebrows slightly if we want to say something or want to speak. Like yes, but may means someone feels more confident and doesn't need to rely on talking about particular objects, such as their special interests. Self-regulation skills are any activities that help a person to manage their own behaviour and emotions. If you can help the person to identify when they are feeling stressed or anxious, however, help them learn alternative strategies to use. You may in due time see less repetitive and obsessively habitual behaviours that you find really alarming or concerning. Strategies to consider might be relaxation techniques such as taking 10 deep breaths or squeezing a stress ball, as well as finding ways to communicate or support either verbally or, if that's too difficult, by showing a red card or writing a note. Many autistic people have difficulty with abstract concepts such as emotions, but there are ways to turn their emotion into more concrete concepts, e.g. stress scales. You may use a traffic light system, visual thermometer, or a scale of 1 to 5 to present emotions as colours or numbers. For example, a green traffic light or a number 1 can mean I am calm, a red traffic light or a number 5 I am angry. Here are some strategies for dealing with rigid thinking youngsters, however. Let the youngster with autism spectrum, Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism know of some of the changes in life you have undergone and how you manage them. Your examples are a way of helping them to cope with the changes in their future. Relate to their situation. Tell stories about when you've had to weather the storms of change. Also, you can talk about what you might have done differently, something that could have facilitated a better outcome. Alternatively, you can talk about the changes within the other family members and how they changed with circumstances. 2. Always demonstrate love and appreciation when your child tries to accept a new situation of change with courage, even if they're not successful. In other words, be sure to reward effort with acknowledgement and praise, regardless of whether or not the desired outcome has occurred. 3. Create behaviour incentives, using something that's the same each time. For example, tokens, tickets, stickers, etc., etc. Let the sameness of the identical token be the familiar thing during the unfamiliar situation. You can also use marbles dropped into a jar. The smooth texture and clicks when they drop is satisfying to most kids. For example, explain to your youngster, when we leave the park today, if you don't cry, you'll get a marble to put in the jar when we get home. Let them cash in the marbles for a reward at the end of the day. 4. Don't unintentionally reward your youngster for acting out due to an unwanted routine or change. Uncontrolled anger warrants are predictable with consequence. Losing a particular privilege may be the best consequence for these children. Don't underestimate your youngster's ability to manipulate you, however. Even severely autistic kids can be master manipulators. 5. Focus on just a few areas where flexibility is needed most. For example, if your youngster is completely distressed when you're running out on range, this is the place to start. If they're upset over having a babysitter, start there. If they won't leave the grandparents' house without a tantrum, focus on that issue. 6. While helping your special needs child to deal with change, be prepared to weather the storm. There will be sadness, tears, tantrums, and the rest, followed by parental guilt. But this is all a part of the process. Remain calm and accept your youngster for who and what they are. 7. Change itself can come quickly or slowly, but adjusting to the new set of affairs takes time. Make sure you give your youngster and yourself the luxury of having time to adjust. Try not to speak too much too soon. Some changes are easy to adjust to, while others aren't. Some children with Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism may adapt quickly to change, but some don't. As the parent, simply keep doing what you're doing and know that most changes eventually leave everyone in better places than where they began. 8. Attempt to see things from your child's point of view. Ask them how they perceive a particular change. A child who airs their misgivings about unwanted changes is more likely to cope better. Talk about the details of what will happen, where they'll be, and what they have to do. Doing this repeatedly will help your child feel prepared and ready and confident. 9. Encourage your youngster to explore and engage in new activities and interests. In this way, you help them to cope with change that will come later on in life. When they go through various experiences, it provides a fundamental base that strengthens their emotional muscles, helps them feel good about themselves, and develops the self-confidence. 10. Kids on the autism spectrum loves to follow routine. Anything away from that worries them. They feel best when they are able to predict things. They feel safe when they know what's on the agenda for the day, what they need to do next, or have to do next. They may want to know how other people are likely to behave or react and what will happen from day to day. So if you and your youngster are ongoing a significant period of change, try to keep most of their routine the same. 11. Turn the change into an adventure. For example, turn "Are you ready to start a new school?" into "Wow, just think you'll get to see your classmates again." Since any change can seem frightening to your child, the language you can use can turn the change into a fun adventure. Changing the tone to one of excitement can make a world of difference into your child's attitude. 12. Prepare your youngster for what may happen and be honest. Voice your plans in a reassuring tone. Explain to them in concrete terms where you'll be going or what may happen along the way so they are prepared well before and ready for the change. Also, answer your child's questions and tell them the truth, i.e. don't sugarcoat the situation so that trust can develop. Many tantrums can be avoided because you keep reminding them throughout the day of what's going to happen so they're ready for the change. 13. Read articles and blogs about the change in question. Almost any change that your child is going through, written about, example, potty training, new siblings, moving to a new neighbourhood, etc., etc. Go to the library, get as many books as you can on this topic and read it together. Reading helps open the lines of communication to talk the difficulties of the change necessarily. 14. Help create sameness by replicating a similar comfort phase. Example, sometimes we have to change our plans or we will be okay when what happens. Use this exact phrase or something similar every time flexibility is needed. This will help to bring a sense of control and particularly during chaos. Your youngster will remember that you said the last time a change was needed and everything eventually will turn out just fine. 15. Many kids on the spectrum have difficulty with concept of time, but you can provide your child with simple strategies to measure time. Example, using an alarm clock or kitchen timer for tasks, transitions, cleaning, time for living rituals. Let your child place a calendar centrally and help them to keep track of important dates such as Valentine's, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays and vacations, the first day of school, etc., etc. Signal your child verbally or set countdowns for when they must leave an activity that they were enjoying. Example, I'm going to turn off the computer 10 minutes because we are getting close to lunchtime. If you want your child to accept the change, you must first understand why they must resist. By insisting they're likely to reaction to a change, I should say, and routine, you can make intelligent decisions about how to introduce the change. Change involves strong feelings. Think about a recent change that you've had at home or work. How did you feel in that given situation? Excited, worried, happy, motivated, energized, optimistic, angry, etc., etc. Maybe your emotions were both positive and negative. But the odds are you most likely felt something very strongly. If you still remember that change, it's probably because they are feeling attached to it. For special needs children, the initial response to change is often negative. Young people who have difficulty with change seem to unconsciously scan a new situation for anything that's not to their benefit, then they resist and complain. This negative focus often blocks the awareness of any positive aspects related to the change in question. Change also involves loss. Example-wise, when moving to a new house, as I said, you're bound to lose a new set of friends, but hopefully gain this new set of friends. If you want your child to accept these changes, you need to invest in time and planning and communication. Also, very often, though, however, well-meaning parents just throw a change out there and expect their child to say, "Oh, I have to change my routine now." Well, okay, to get your child to accept the change, the first step is to understand what, from their perspective, the way she's feeling, of what she is losing. If you can, first emphasize with her feelings, then begin to compensate for the loss. You have taken a big first step towards getting her into acceptance. In summary, ASM high-functioning children, autism children, need to feel those who have power, e.g. parents' concerns, care about their concerns and will listen to them. When possible, give your child options. For example, we have to change this or that. Which one are you the most comfortable with? The more choices your child has, the more they feel that they're in control. Some of the energy that previously went into resisting change will then be diverted to accepting it. Special needs children are more likely to adjust to change when they feel that they have the skills, knowledge and abilities to succeed. The faster parents and teachers can help these kids move through the learning curve, the faster they will accept the change. The child with Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism is more likely to accept the change if they have some input into how it will be implemented. When possible, ask for their opinions or suggestions about any aspect where input may actually be used. However, never ask for input that they don't plan to consider. That will often make matters worse. Well, this quickly ends briefly about the autism resistance change. Then you'd like to thumbs up for support, comment below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you wish to join me on my journey, as well as basically knowing what's going to happen. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends, and when you're done there, if you decide to subscribe, don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can keep up to date with what I share. So no further ado, guys.